The galactic spaceport on Nexus 7 buzzed with its usual chaos, a cacophony of alien languages, the hiss of airlock seals, and the low hum of antimatter engines. Zixlar, his iridescent scales shimmering under the harsh artificial lights, leaned against a viewport, his 4 eyes scanning the docking bay below. Beside him, young Kree-2 fidgeted, his antenna twitching with barely contained excitement. It was the youth's first cycle working at the spaceport, and everything was new and wondrous. Zixlar. Zixlar. Look at that ship. I've never seen anything like it, Kree-2 chittered, pointing with one of his manipulator arms. Zixlar's upper eyes narrowed as he focused on the vessel. It was a rugged, utilitarian craft, all sharp angles and exposed heat sinks. Scorch marks marred its hull, telling tales of close calls and daring escapes. Zixlar felt his dorsal spine stiffen involuntarily. Terran manufacture, he growled, a hint of. Was it fear? Respect? In his gravelly voice, human. Kree-2's compound eyes widened. Human? I've heard stories, but I've never seen one. Are they really as dangerous as they say? As if on cue, the ship's airlock cycled open with a hiss of equalizing pressure. A ramp extended and 5 figures emerged. They were bipedal, covered in fabric of various colors, with exposed patches of skin in shades of brown and pink. They moved with a fluid grace that belied their solid forms. Dangerous, Zixlar chuckled, a dry, clicking sound. Young one, dangerous doesn't begin to describe humans. The humans below were talking animatedly, gesturing with their upper limbs. One threw its head back, emitting a loud, barking sound that Kree-2 realized must be laughter. But they seemed so. Friendly, Kree-2 said, confusion evident in his voice. Zixlar's lower left eye swiveled to focus on the young alien. Ah, that they are. Humans can be the most charming, compassionate beings in the galaxy. But remember this, Kree-2, and remember it well: when humans get angry, run. Kree-2's antenna went rigid with surprise. Surely you're exaggerating, Zixlar. No species can be that terrifying. The old veteran's scales rippled in a pattern that signified grim amusement. Oh, my naive young friend. Let me tell you about my first encounter with angry humans. It was during the Arcturus conflict, back when I was not much older than you. As Zixlar began his tale, Kree-2 found himself leaning in, antenna quivering with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Below, unaware of the conversation they had sparked, the human crew made their way into the spaceport, their laughter echoing off the metallic walls. Zixlar's eyes took on a distant look as he began his tale. The Arcturus conflict was supposed to be a simple show of force. The Galactic Council had deemed the human colonies in the sector to be in violation of territorial agreements. Our fleet was sent to remind them of their place. Kree-2 listened intently as Zixlar continued, his voice lowering to a near whisper. We outgunned them 10-1. Our technology was centuries ahead of theirs. Victory was assumed to be swift and absolute. Zixlar's scales shimmered with what might have been embarrassment. We were fools. The humans responded to our ultimatum with a simple message: we will not comply. We thought them suicidal or insane. Then they attacked. Zixlar's upper eyes closed, as if reliving the memory. Their ships were primitive, held together with patch welds and prayer, but they flew them like extensions of their own bodies, pulling maneuvers that defied physics and sanity alike. They fought with a ferocity I'd never seen before. But it wasn't until we landed ground forces that we truly understood the terror of angry humans, Zixlar said, his voice dropping even lower. I was part of the first wave. We expected to be met with fear, with submission. Instead, we found rage. Kree-2's antenna quivered. What happened? They changed, Zixlar said, a shudder running through his body. One moment, we were facing scared colonists. The next, it was like facing a force of nature, their eyes. By the void, their eyes, they seemed to glow with an inner fire. Their muscles bulged, their skin flushed, and the noises they made, primal, terrifying sounds that chilled us to our core. They moved faster than our targeting systems could track. They shrugged off wounds that would have felled any other species. I saw a human lift a combat rover with their bare hands and use it as a bludgeon. Another tore through a platoon's worth of armor with nothing but a primitive blade and sheer fury. Zixlar's scales had taken on a pale hue, his body instinctively trying to blend into the background as he recounted the terrifying memory. But the most frightening thing wasn't their strength or speed. It was their relentlessness. No matter how many we struck down, they kept coming. No matter what horrors we unleashed, their rage only seemed to grow. They didn't stop. They couldn't stop. Not until we were defeated. Kraytu's eyes were wide with disbelief. How? How did you survive? Zixlar's mouth parts twisted in what might have been a wry smile. I ran. I ran faster and farther than I ever had in my life, and I've been running ever since. As if to punctuate his point, the human crew they had been watching earlier walked past their viewpoint. One of them, a tall female with fiery red head fur, noticed them and smiled, raising a hand in a friendly gesture. "Hello there," she called out cheerfully. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" Zixlar nodded stiffly, his body tense. As the humans passed, he turned back to the still stunned Kraytu. "Remember, young one, they can be the most wonderful friends and allies. But if you ever see that fire in their eyes, that tension in their bodies that signals their rage, don't think, don't hesitate, just run." Kraytu nodded slowly, his gaze following the retreating humans with a new mixture of fascination and fear. Kraytu's antenna twitched nervously as he watched the human crew disappear into the crowded spaceport. But Zixlar, he chittered, if humans are so terrifying when angered, how do we coexist with them? How has the galaxy not been torn apart? Zixlar's scales rippled in a pattern that signified deep thought. Ah, young one, that's the true wonder of humans. Their capacity for rage is matched only by their capacity for compassion and cooperation. The veteran alien gestured towards the bustling spaceport around them. Look closely. See how species that were once mortal enemies now trade and interact peacefully. Much of that is due to human influence. They have a gift for bringing people together, for finding common ground where none seem to exist. Kraytu's compound eyes blinked in confusion. But how can such contradictions exist in one species? Zixlar's upper eyes crinkled in what Kraytu had learned was amusement. That, my young friend, is the enduring mystery of humanity. They contain multitudes. Their history is filled with both unspeakable horrors and breathtaking acts of kindness. They're capable of building wonders that last millennia and destroying worlds in the blink of an eye. The old alien leaned in conspiratorially. The key to dealing with humans is respect. Treat them fairly, honor your agreements, and you'll find no better allies in the galaxy. But cross them, threaten those they care about. And Zixlar shuddered. Well, you remember what I told you. As if to illustrate his point, a commotion erupted near the customs area. A large, brutish alien was looming over a smaller being, tentacles waving threateningly. Before spaceport security could react, one of the humans they'd seen earlier, a stocky, dark-skinned male, stepped between them. "Is there a problem here, folks?" the human asked, his voice calm but carrying an unmistakable edge. The larger alien turned its eye stalks towards the human, clearly sizing him up. For a tense moment, Kraytu feared he was about to witness the human rage Zixlar had described. But then, amazingly, the brutish alien backed down, mumbling what sounded like an apology before slinking away. The human helped the smaller alien gather its belongings, exchanged a few friendly words, and then rejoined his crew, the incident seemingly forgotten. Zixlar nodded approvingly. "You see, humans have a saying, speak softly, and carry a big stick. They prefer peace, but they're always ready for conflict. It's a delicate balance that has made them one of the most respected and feared species in the galaxy." Kraytu's antenna drooped slightly as he processed this information. It sounds exhausting, always having to be so careful around them. Zixlar's scales shimmered with amusement. It can be, but it's worth it. Humans have brought more positive change to the galaxy in the few centuries they've been part of the interstellar community than many species have in millennia. As they watched, the human crew finished their business and began heading back to their ship. The red-haired female from earlier noticed them again and waved. This time, Zixlar raised one of his upper limbs in a passable imitation of the human gesture. Zixlar said. Friendly, open, always ready to make new connections. But never forget what lies beneath that amiable exterior. Treat humans with respect, enjoy their company and their many gifts to the galaxy. But always, always remember. Cray too finished the sentence, his voice filled with newfound understanding. When humans get angry, run. Zixlar nodded approvingly. You'll do fine here, young one. Now let's go get some nutrient paste. All this reminiscing has activated my digestion sacs. As they moved away from the viewport, Cray too took one last look at the human ship. He felt a complex mixture of emotions: fascination, apprehension, and a deep curiosity about these strange, wonderful, terrifying beings that had changed the face of the galaxy. One thing was certain: life around humans would never be boring. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you loved it. Please remember to subscribe if you did like it so you can see more videos like this. And please give us a like and a comment too. I'll see you in the next one.